Getting down to the wire, guys. 31 days of October, week 3. Here we go. What is up, guys? Welcome to 31 days of October, week 3. Now, let me just forewarn you. I didn't get a chance to watch too much this last week because Halloween, the new movie, came out, and I'm sure you're going to see everybody in this list talking about Halloween. So you'll get 7 different opinions of Halloween probably. But what I'm going to do is give you guys some recommendations, I guess, for my week this week. But anyway, I got 6 great guests for you guys tonight. Looking forward to having them. Some that have been on the channel before. Actually, I think all of these have been on the channel before. Yeah, I think they have actually. But who I have for you is Blu-ray Dan, talking movies with us, Horror Gal Susan, Theo from Theo's Movie Reviews, CJ Horror, and Lizzie from Carnage Candy. And you know what? We're gonna cut right to the chase. Let's get right down to the action. First off, good friend of mine, Blu-ray Dan. Me and Dan have been friends pretty much since my channel started. 2015, my first year. When Dan and I had, not that many subscribers, but he's always been a great friend and one of the most inspirational people too, because Dan lost a shitload of weight. I mean, he was like 350 pounds and now he looks like he weighs 3 pounds. The guy is a machine now. He was so dedicated and so focused, and it inspired me, because I've actually gained a little bit of weight since I started my channel. Dan is like the living example. And he has a phenomenal Blu-ray collection, actually. He's one of the friendliest guys in the community that you will ever meet. Always positive. So really looking forward to seeing what he watched this last week. Take it away, Dan.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Danny from the Blu-ray Dan channel, and before I go into any of the movies that I watched this month or this week, week 3, I just want to take a quick second to thank Lee very much for having me on here. I believe I had done one of these other videos for you in the past one of the previous years, but it's always a pleasure, man. And honestly, I know how much time, hard work, and effort you put into this channel and the Killer Flicks group, and just the fact that you include everybody else in everything that you do, whether they're small channels, medium channels, or large channels. It shows the kind of person you are, and that is just a very true, genuinely nice guy, and I had to thank you on behalf of myself and everybody else. Thank you so much for having me on, and everybody else as well. Now, if you guys know me and you have heard me speak in the past, you will know that I just never grew up with horror. It was just never a thing in my family. My father liked horror, so I don't really know why he never showed me any horror films, but it was more like comedy and stuff like that growing up. So there are so many classics that I missed, and I always get ripped apart for it because they're just classic movies that I really probably should have seen being a movie YouTuber. But I really wanted to try and make up for that this year and kind of narrow the gap a little bit, and I have been watching so many classic horror movies. And so yeah, I just want to talk to you guys about a few of the ones that I've kind of enjoyed the most. So without further ado, let's go. So one of the first horror films that I watched that I really enjoyed so far is Christine. Christine is the movie about the haunted car that is terrorizing everybody in its path. The movie's filled with cheesy lines and just ridiculous over-the-top characters and events that go on in the film, but something about it was just, I don't even know, I just really enjoyed it. There's something really comical and kind of scary about a car that just keeps following you around and running over people and squishing people and killing them, and when you think the thing is dead, it just comes right back. What the hell, man? And this one honestly had some really fun characters, and it had some great music as well. I think the icing on the cake for me with this, though, was my experience that happened after the movie. The very next day when I got up in the morning to work out, there was a car parked around the park that I run around that was almost identical to Christine, and just something about it was really bizarre, just sitting there. And when I finally went to take out my camera to take a picture of it, it was gone. So I don't know why, I don't know what happened there, but it's I don't know, it added to the freakiness of the whole idea of it. So that's Christine for you. I don't know what else to say. That's Christine for you guys. The next film that I want to talk to you guys about is Night of the Living Dead, the original Night of the Living Dead. Now, I'm a very big fan of zombie movies, and even though this one, isn't as intense as the ones that we get nowadays, it just takes you back to the very beginning of where all of this came from. And it still has a very creepy element to it. The zombies themselves weren't that scary in the movie, but there's something about being locked up and boarded in a house with people that you don't know well. Other people, zombies, are trying to break through the windows and the boards. Just makes for a great movie and an overall fun time, because you know they're fighting what's outside and they're fighting what's inside. And I don't know, I just think my favorite part about the movie overall is the ending, because it just doesn't go the way that you would expect it to. So yeah, that's why I really enjoyed Night of the Living Dead. I'm glad that I finally got the chance to see it. Next up, I want to talk about The Shining. That's right, guys, I had never seen The Shining in full before, just the other day, and man, what a good movie. The cast is great, the acting is great, the environment is great. I love the fact that it takes place in this tremendous hotel, and there are only a few people living in there, and there's just so much crazy stuff that goes on, whether it be in the bedrooms or the long hallways or just the breakdown of the human mind. Everything about it was just so good. And also, it's a snowy setting film, and I absolutely love snowy setting movies, and if it's a horror snowy setting film, that's even better. Jack Nicholson did a fantastic job in this movie. He really did a great job. And yeah, this one was just overall just a blast, man. I had a lot of fun with this, and yeah, I really can't wait to watch it again, honestly. Now, the second to last film I'm going to talk to you guys about is Jaws. Yes, again, I had never seen the original Jaws in full. Of course, I've seen some iconic clips here and there, and I've heard some of the classic lines that came from it, but I had never sat down to watch the movie in its entirety until the other day, and man, I really liked it. I think one thing that held me back from seeing it in the past is the fact that I do have a fear of sharks. Whenever I go into like an ocean or anything like that, or at the beach, I do always fear that there's a shark there. I don't know why. I mean, I guess because sharks live there. It's just the idea of them being under the water without being able to see them is just really creepy. It freaks me out. I don't know, I must be nuts, sue me. But you know what, this was just such a great movie. I never plan on going in the water again, but you know, whatever. I guess that was the purpose of this film. I think my favorite scene from this movie has to be where I guess the guy first officially sees Jaws, and he's throwing the chum into the ocean, and he turns back around and this huge shark's face is right in his. I must have rewound it and watched that over and over again. That was just, I don't know, I love that scene. Honestly, I'm mad that it took me this long to see the movie, but I'm just so happy that I finally got to see it in full. And yeah, that's Jaws, guys. If you've never heard of it, go check it out. It's a shark movie. And then finally, guys, I broke out my Alfred Hitchcock box set, and I watched a couple movies in there. Psycho is one of them, but the one I'm going to talk to you guys about is The Birds. I think why I really enjoyed this movie and why this one kind of messed with me is because you're taking something so innocent like birds, and you're making them just terrorize people, and that's horrifying, man. Just the very first scene where the woman is rowing the boat and the seal comes and smacks her in the face, that alone, when that first happened in the film, I was like, whoa, alright, I don't like birds anymore. And then the way that they filmed the movie, where the camera goes away and there's nothing there, and then it kind of goes back to the same spot like the playground, and there's like 2 birds there, and then it pans away again and cuts right back and there's like 50. And I think one reason that I like the movie the most is that it leaves a lasting impression, kind of just like I said with how it was with Christine. There's something about now going outside, and like with Christine where I saw the car, there's something very strange about going and seeing like flocks of birds fly over me now. Like, I'm not gonna lie, again, I was outside working out, and this was the morning after watching The Birds, and a whole ton of birds flew over my head, and I will admit, I was like, whoa, no more of this, and working out inside from now on. Something about stuff like that really does mess with you, and even though you don't think it's going to, there's just something that it leaves, a little mark that it leaves in the back of your brain, that whenever something similar happens that happened in a horror movie like this, it does freak you out. But you know what, guys, that's my time here. That's all the movies I wanted to talk to you guys about. There are more, but I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna hold off because this is long enough. I want to once again thank Lee so much for having me on here, man. This honestly has been a blast. And guys, forget my channel. If you guys are new here, subscribe to Lee's channel, Drumdums. He is a fantastic guy. He deserves all the support that he's getting, and yeah, he's just a great dude. I'm out of here, guys. Happy Halloween. Hope you have a great scary holiday. I don't know, guys. I'll talk to you later. I'm Blu-ray Dan. Have a good one.
Next up, Ashley and George from Talk Movies with Us. These are really good friends of mine. I still remember when they first started their channel. They were friends of mine on Instagram, actually, and they were such a positive face of Instagram that eventually people started pushing them to start their own YouTube channel. I think I even was pushing them to start their own YouTube channel. Now they have over 10,000 subscribers. That is amazing. And if you watch their channel, you'll understand why. You know, they're just very charismatic, very friendly, and you know, they're good friends of mine. And Ashley works at Best Buy, which is also cool because sometimes she gives me the lowdown on the good deals. She gives everybody the lowdown. They got their own Facebook page. But anyway, I digress. Looking forward to seeing what they watch. Take it away, Ashley and George.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm George.
I'm Ashley.
And we are Talk Movies with Us. And we would just like to thank Lee yet again for including us in the 31 days of October.
Yes, we really appreciate the opportunity. Again, this is our second year doing it, and we're just gonna jump right into this thing. We have a bunch of horror movies that we're gonna talk about, and yeah. So do we want to talk about the movies that we kind of streamed first before we get into our Blu-rays?
Physical stuff. So one of the first movies we checked out this month was Mandy.
Starring the great Nick Cage.
Holy hell, this movie was insane.
It was fantastic. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, highly recommend it. It does come out on physical media, I think, next week or the week after. We're definitely going to be picking it up.
This movie blew me away.
It was beautifully shot. It was very well done, and it was a blast.
And horrifying.
It was scary. And then next up, we did watch one of the newer Netflix movies called Apostle.
Yeah, this movie isn't getting a lot of talk. But man, guys, go check out Apostle. This movie is gonna be on my top 10 list of the year. It was phenomenal.
And if you guys are a fan of the Raid movies, which we haven't checked out yet, it's the same director, and I definitely want to check out the Raid movies after seeing Apostle. It's terrifying. It was well shot. I mean, beautifully shot.
Beautifully shot.
The soundtrack was great, and you know, Dan Stevens is good. He's a great actor.
Yeah, guys, if you guys are a fan of the movie The Guest, which I love, which we both love that movie. Man, he just gives another badass performance. Highly, highly recommend Apostle, guys. This movie needs more attention.
Definitely, definitely. And of course, I had to check out Terrifier with Art the Clown.
Oh my God.
And this movie, I mean, listen, it has absolutely no plot to it. You don't know why he is the way he is, but I had a great time with it. It's got some pretty good kills.
Guys, quick story. I was inside watching my Yankees get their ass kicked in the playoffs while she was watching Terrifier.
And he came in.
I walked in on one scene, which is, no spoilers here, but it involved a little downward action on a saw type of thing.
Yeah.
And I just walked in on that because I heard a lot of screaming. I was like, what the hell's going on in here? And I was like, I just looked at the screen and I was like, oh my God.
And then he kind of like looked at me, and I'm like snacking on like popcorn or something, and it don't bother me. It was great.
I'm not gonna lie, that was like one of the most disturbing things I've seen all year on the screen. Like in the theater or at home, I was like, oh my God. I've never seen that before. It seemed original to me, so
yeah.
Terrifier.
So Terrifier was fun. If you haven't watched it yet, check it out. It's a good time.
Gives Pennywise a run for his money in the creepiness department.
Yeah, he's definitely a creepy clown.
All right, next up.
And the last one that we streamed was The Void, which I know I'm a little late to the game because it came out last year, 2 years ago, but wow, so very, very surprised with how good it was. I mean, it was beautifully shot. It really reminded me of The Thing. It had a sci-fi feel to it, kind of like Hellraiser. It had a whole bunch of horror elements kind of all wrapped up into one. It used mostly practical effects, and I loved it. I need to find a physical copy of it.
Can't talk about the movie The Void without mentioning the practical effects.
Now,
we got the physical media, baby.
Physical media, because this is what we love the most.
This is the theme of our channel. We love anything Blu-ray 4K related. We try to keep physical media alive.
Yes, we do a lot of Blu-ray hauls, Blu-ray updates, unboxing. So anyway,
so what do we got?
So first up we have Bloodfest, which was a recent release. It is a horror comedy. I had a good time with it. I really thought it was a fun movie. It's nothing special, but if you need something to kind of throw on, watch some gore, watch some humor, it's a good one. Next up we have The Collector, which is a cat and mouse game kind of mixed with Saw, but really enjoyed it. It was filmed in a very unique way with a lot of crazy colors and whatnot. And it is an older movie, but definitely worth a watch if you haven't.
Definitely got to check the sequel out to that.
Yeah, we're gonna watch The Collection, hopefully, maybe this month, if not, whenever. Next up, we have Cabin in the Woods, which is one of my favorites. I really love this movie, and I remember it surprising the hell out of me. It's very aware of what movie it is. It starts out, you think it's gonna be an Evil Dead remake, mixed with this and mixed with that, but holy hell, this is a fun movie.
it's an awesome horror movie that pretty much shits on every horror movie ever made, every cliche that's out there. It trashes it, but by being its own great horror film.
Yeah, and I feel like in a way it's paying tribute to all of those great movies as well. I mean, it's great. And we actually just saw, you know, Bad Times at the El Royale, which is the same director, and we really had a great time with that as well.
Drew Goddard's 2 for 2, man.
Yeah, so next up we have Last House on the Left. And I will say that when I watched this, it was the first time I'm seeing the original. I'm actually a really big fan of the remake. And, you know, this one obviously is fantastic. Wes Craven is the man. And the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, R.I.P.
And this movie there are some really hard scenes to watch. Very unsettling, but overall fantastic. I'm really glad that I finally did check it out, even though it took me, you know, forever.
Beautiful box set, by the way.
Next up is another first-time watch, and that was Phantasm. This movie is very strange. Very strange. Another unsettling movie. Creepy, very creepy, but I really enjoyed this. I'm kind of excited to dive into the rest of the series. I hear that Phantasm 2 is a decent sequel, and then they kind of progress to silliness.
I heard the latest one, Ravager.
Oh, I heard that's like awful to even try to get through.
About that one, but we'll eventually get there.
Well, we're working our way through the Well Go USA box set.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm watching a bunch of different box sets all at the same time because this one is It's Alive, and of course, mutant baby out to kill everybody because it's scared, and of course a baby's gonna be scared because it's a baby, but...
Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I haven't seen this movie, but she was just describing the plot to me before we started filming this, and I just looked at like the back cover, and I was just like, oh my god, this sounds like the greatest film ever made, and I need to watch it.
I will say that it's a very serious movie. Like, you explain the plot, and you're like, oh, it's probably so cheesy. It actually takes itself very seriously, and I really liked this movie. I'm not sure how, you know, if the sequels are the same way, but...
Obviously family friendly, though. It's got a PG rating.
PG rating, yet, you know, the delivery room is a complete bloodbath. Not bad, though.
For everybody. Watch it with grandma.
Next up, we have The Evil Dead. We had to pick up the 4K. Of course, we've seen this movie. This is one of my favorite all-time horror movies, and, you know, to see it in 4K, you know, some people are like, oh, it doesn't need the upgrade, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And to watch this movie, I watch it almost every year. It's great. I really can't say enough good things about it.
A little sad that Ash vs. The Evil Dead got canceled, but what are you gonna do? At least we got to see the great character himself, Bruce Campbell, back one last time, right?
Next up, the 4K of Halloween. We did have to watch this again because we just saw the new one, but obviously this is an absolute classic. I will say I wasn't super crazy about the 4K, but it was a good price, so we picked it up. But let's talk about the new Halloween real quick.
The new Halloween, I mean, a great 40-year follow-up to this one, if you will.
Yeah, so many Easter eggs, so, you know, it's like a tribute film almost to the original. Fantastic. I'm so glad that John Carpenter was back to do the score for the new one.
The score was just amazing. You cannot help but get pumped up when you see Michael Myers, trick-or-treaters, and that epic music. Just, you cannot help it.
I know, it's just epic.
Fantastic.
And the last piece of physical media I have to talk about.
Oh boy.
Was recommended by a good friend of ours, and this is Cannibal Holocaust. And I will say, I was very hesitant to watch this because of the things that I've heard, but nonetheless, it is one of those, I guess you could say, classic movies. It's classic in the exploitation type of way, and I'm not going to say I enjoyed it because it's not an enjoyable movie. It's hard to get through the animal cruelty scenes, but other than that, I mean, it's a good movie. I mean, it's you know, it is what it is. I'm glad that I watched it. I would rather watch this again over watching a Serbian film. You know, those are two of the most controversial movies around, you know, and I will watch this before I watch that movie again. So that's saying something, I guess.
All right, guys, so that is it that is our stack that we've watched so far for the month of October.
Thank you to Lee again so much for including us in, in your 31 days of October. It's awesome. It's fun to talk about all these horror movies that we don't do individual reviews for.
And it's also a lot of fun watching and seeing what everyone else has been watching for the month of October.
Definitely. But if you do, if you don't know who we are and you are interested in checking out our channel, check us out, talk movies with us.
Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you guys later.
See you later.
Next up, a dear friend of mine, horror gal Susan. She is one of those channels that she is dyed-in-the-wool horror. You can tell just by looking at her backdrop. I guess my backdrop too. But her backdrop is just filled with horror memorabilia. She's been to a ton of conventions, and if you know her, you know she's a fanatic of Elvira, which is not a bad thing at all in my book. I love Elvira. I even have a Funko Pop to prove it. And it's buried somewhere back there, but you can't see it. I'll have to dig it up sometime. But yeah, I always look forward to seeing what she brings to the table. She is really the best when it comes to like horror boxes, like, Horror Pack or Horror Block, all those. She does such a great job. So anyway, take it away, Susan.
Hi everybody, it's Susan, aka Horror Gal. Welcome if you've never seen any of my videos or been to my channel before. I really want to say a big thank you to Lee. He has invited me into his 31 Days of October for 3 years now, and I am really excited to be a part of it. Thank you again to Lee. So let's get into what I've been watching. The first thing that I saw was the new Halloween film.
Happy Halloween, Michael. Halloween.
Did get to see an advanced screening of it, and I'm telling you, it has taken everything not to talk about this film. I will say that what I'm about to say is spoiler free, so continue watching even if you have not seen the movie yet. Halloween 2018 is really a wonderful sequel to the original. They do negate everything that occurred in Halloween 2, but once you see the film, you understand why and how it plays out. And basically, they're taking everything from that first night in Halloween 1978 and then taking it all the way up to today, 40 years later. The beauty part of this film is Jamie Lee Curtis's magnificent portrayal of Laurie Strode. It's just an amazing film about an amazing character that has strength and perseverance and conviction and determination. And even though she is deeply traumatized and affected by what happened to her 40 years ago, she spent those 40 years preparing for what was to be this movie.
This film does focus on 3 generations of Strode women, Laurie Strode's daughter Karen and granddaughter Allison, and makes a lot of parallels between the character of Allison and Laurie when she was young. This film does have a lot of Easter eggs and nods to the original and 2 other Halloween films within the franchise, but does focus on the PTSD and how that has affected Laurie Strode, and really how it has evolved her into the complete do-as-I-say badass that we all started to see begin back in 1978.
Character of Laurie Strode is the most powerful character in this film. This film did focus and center on what we all as OG fans of the original wanted, which was Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. This movie is not without its flaws. There are several aspects to the film that I personally would have changed a bit, but I think that every fan, especially if you are a very big time, long time fan of the original, there are going to be little certain things that you might have changed, removed, that sort of thing from the film. But overall, this is a really beautiful love letter to all of the fans, and it is, in fact, the sequel that many of us, myself included, really wanted. Nothing is perfect, no film and no human being is perfect, but this is a great representation of what most of us wanted in a sequel to this film. And I really encourage you to go and see this movie, form your own opinion, and discuss. If you are a fan of Halloween, if you are a fan of John Carpenter, his music or his films, if you are a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis, you need to see this movie. You need to do yourself a favor. If you are a fan of the entire Halloween franchise, this film is filled with Easter eggs. You will enjoy it, at least for that aspect, if for nothing else. The second movie that I watched was a movie from 1983 that I had never seen. I know, shocker for any of you who know me, I love 80s horror movies, but I had never seen it. And it is The House on Sorority Row. Basically every female performer in it starred in some soap opera that my grandma used to watch. So it was very interesting in that respect. This is basically your typical slasher film.
So after what they think is going to be an innocent prank goes terribly wrong, these sorority sisters are stalked and murdered during their graduation party that is being thrown at their house on Sorority Row.
It does have its own little storyline going on, and there are clowns involved, and it is your typical early 80s slasher film, and it's a lot of fun. I recommend checking it out if you get a chance to.
I still can't believe that I had never seen it before.
And for the last film that I watched recently, no Halloween or Halloween season would be complete without the Queen of Halloween herself, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. But that is 2001's Elvira's Haunted Hills. This is the second film that Elvira, Mistress of the Dark did, and hopefully we will see a third one at some point. Elvira's Haunted Hills is about Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, in 1851, traveling to Paris for a Can-Can review, and stays overnight in a haunted castle. And you might recognize Richard O'Brien, who played Riff Raff in Rocky Horror Picture Show in this film. It is hilarious. It is a great comedy, horror comedy, depends on how you look at it, but it is basically an enormous love letter to Vincent Price and his Poe films, and Pit and the Pendulum specifically. So if you're a big Vincent Price fan, you will see a lot of great Easter eggs in this film, and it's just really wonderfully done, and obviously has an amazing setting, and of course Elvira kills it. She's hilarious in it. So do yourself a favor and check out this film, and make sure that the Queen of Halloween is in your Halloween season as well. So that about wraps it up for what I have been watching recently. Again, I want to give a big thank you to Lee. We go way back. He's amazing. And thank you so much for including me again. And take it away, Lee.
Next up, another friend of the channel. Me and Theo have been friends pretty much since the beginning. But I'm glad to have him back on the channel. Theo is one of those guys, he loves YouTube, he loves movies, and he just loves talking about movies. And you know, he's a veteran. He's been around for a long time. So anyway, looking forward to seeing what Theo watched. Take it away, Theo.
Hi everybody, it's your boy Theo from Theo's Movie Reviews, and today I'm here on Lee's channel, and I couldn't be more excited because it's 31 days of October. I got my freaking pumpkin here. I'm ready to go. Halloween is just around the corner. I'm gonna be freaking giving out candy. Of course, I'm not gonna be trick-or-treating, but I'll be giving out candy, and I'm excited. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good time of the year. Before I start, I'm gonna be talking about 6 films that I'll be seeing in one film, which equals to 7, but one film that I haven't seen yet, but I am planning of seeing this Halloween, or this October. So anyway, before I start, I want to thank Lee from Drumdums, Lee McCoy, the creator of Killer Flicks, for inviting me, for allowing me to be in this event. I remember me and Lee go way back to, you know, he discovered my channel and he commented underneath that we had the same poster, because at the time I had Avengers Age of Ultron as the background here. So he commented underneath, we have the same poster, and I'm like, who the heck is this person? So I think I comment cool or something like that, or yes we do, but that's how it all started. That's how it started with me and Lee, just from that comment. And then I was invited to the first 31 Days of October, which I was a total mess in that video because I didn't know the rules, and I felt like I was rambling too long. But anyway, and now I'm back here again to be in 31 Days of October. So most of you might have seen these movies, maybe you haven't. Hopefully, you know, you'll get some of these movies, some of my opinions, and you'll watch them this Halloween. So, shall we start? I think so. Here we go. So number one, which everybody sees it. Everybody sees it every Halloween. They watch it. It's on their watch list. I'm gonna be watching it back to back. I'm gonna be seeing this Halloween, I'm gonna be seeing the Halloween, the original, the 1978 classic. I'll be seeing it first, and then doing a little marathon. I'll be going to see the new Halloween, the 18th or 19th. So I'll be seeing this first, and then seeing the sequel to it, which I don't recall, or I don't count the other sequels and prequels. So I'm gonna go from this to the one in theaters. Now I have seen the sequel back at TIFF, so I can't wait to rewatch it again in theaters and get those chills. But I'd never owned Halloween, and now it went on 4K, so I said, why not getting it? You know, it just add the 4K collection. I do want to eventually upgrade to 4K sooner or later. So anyways, so that's it. Halloween on 4K. The story we all know. It's about a babysitter, you know, that she gets attacked by Michael Myers, and it just kicks off from there. But my favorite scene, favorite horror scene, but my favorite Halloween scene in general is the scene with when they're in the closet and Michael is trying to get Laurie, and then she just, you know, stabs him in the eye. That's my favorite scene. But let me know down below, what's your favorite scene? Lee, have fun with this too. Let me know what's your favorite scene. But there's what I like about the new one, and by the way, this video is gonna go up before the new one, the new movie gets released. But what I like about this new one is that it has a lot of references. It has a lot of Easter eggs. It has a lot of, like, pretty much sound design from John Carpenter. So it's truly really special. If you want to check out my introduction, it's at my channel. You know, before they play the movie at TIFF, they all went up on stage and you know, welcome to film. But yeah, so 4K, I haven't seen it on 4K yet because I don't have a 4K player yet, but Blu-ray looks good. The second one, it's gonna be Christine. It's been a while since I've seen Christine, and I recently purchased this just so I can watch it this October. It's probably one of my favorite Carpenter movies, but Halloween is up there for me. But you know, Christine it follows that right underneath, and it's just crazy how you know, a haunted car chases the characters, and it's crazy. Just that opening scene from the movie, you know, where he's fixing the car and stuff happens. But it's been a while since I've seen it, so I really don't remember a favorite scene of mine. But let me know if you've seen Christine and what did you think of it. Number 3, or the third one that I'll be watching this October, is Stephen King's It, the original. I have the new one here that it was filmed not too far from where I live, but I was not a huge fan of it. I prefer the original, Tim Curry as the clown. It's good, it's good. Sometimes it might not make sense, especially the ending when he turns into a spider. That doesn't make sense, but other than that, it's a nice cup of tea, and that clown is scary as fuck. Look at him. He's a fucking little scary dude. So, yeah, my favorite scene has to be when, you know, he's Tim Curry, the clown, he's hidden by the bed sheets, and you know, the kid sees him in the beginning and then he doesn't see him again. Kinda got me into Halloween vibes, you know, when Michael bed sheets again. So who knows, right? And then the next one, the fourth one here, it's gonna be a movie that came out earlier this year, and it's called Hereditary. I can't stop talking about this fucking movie. It stuck with me, man, and that ending, fucked up, but good ending. You know, from beginning to end, you're in suspense. You really don't know what's going on. Little hints and clues are along the way, but you're really just blindfolded, and then the ending happens. And that's when you're kind of like, you shit your pants. I've seen this movie 4 times in theaters. I saw it on Blu-ray twice already, and that ending, I love to talk about that ending, and you know, if you want to talk about it, hit me up, because that ending, it just gets stuck with me every time. Toni Collette needs to be nominated for a freaking Oscar because she outdid herself in this movie. Yeah, my favorite, most fucked up moment from this movie is the desk scene where he whacks his head on the desk, and what's crazy about that, if you go back and you look at the interviews, he wanted to use a real desk, and you know, and the director's like, no, you'll sue us, you know, you can't do that. So that desk scene is my favorite by far, but the fucked up scene is the ending where, you know, he gets a crown on. It's just fucked. It's fucked up. I just noticed I'm swearing a lot, so I'm gonna try not to. Sorry, Lee. I don't usually swear. So anyway, so Hereditary, have you seen it? And if you haven't, check it out this Halloween or this October. You will enjoy it. Next one up is number 5 is An American Werewolf in London. I remember seeing this movie. I rented it from the library, not knowing much about it. I just kind of popped it in, and from that moment on, I'm just like, it's a tradition for me to watch it in October. It's a tradition for me to probably one of my favorite werewolf movies, and my favorite scene has to be when he changes into the werewolf. The fucked up scene is when the nurse goes and sees him and he opens his eyes and he has that little funny look, but that's the most fucked up scene. But yeah, have you seen American Werewolf, and what would you rank it? Would you say it's the best werewolf movie you've seen, or not? Or it's a good popcorn flick, I can tell you that. Good werewolf popcorn movie. But also I'm wondering, are we gonna, I heard there was an American Werewolf in Paris. Paris, was it? Or yeah, it was Paris. So I haven't seen it yet, and is it worth checking out? Let me know. So yeah, that's American Werewolf. And then I'm gonna spice it up. Before I give you my last movie that I'll be watching this October, I'm gonna talk about a movie that I haven't seen yet, so I can't really talk about it a lot, but I will mention the name. So a movie that I want to watch this October that I don't own yet, but it's coming in the mail. It's a movie called The Howling. I've heard good things about it. I've heard mixed things about it. What do you think? Is it better than American Werewolf, or how would you rank it if you had to rank it? Last but not least, it's A Nightmare on Elm Street. I won't be watching all of them, but I mean, I might. I don't know if it's a rainy day. I usually like watching, you know, sequels during Halloween, like the day of Halloween if I'm not working. A Nightmare on Elm Street, my favorite one out of the sequels, and yeah, sequels, is the one with Linda Blair and Lynn Shay and Johnny Depp. I did not know going into this movie I was gonna see Lynn Shay and Johnny Depp. That was a surprise. Both of them very young in this movie. But first time I've seen this movie was, I saw it with a buddy a long time ago. He introduced it to me, and ever since then I had to get the collection, and I had to check all of these out. But out of everything, you know, Freddy's Revenge and Dream Warriors and everything, the first one has to be my favorite. The remake wasn't that good. I own the remake right up there, but it wasn't that good. But yeah, so there's that. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. So yeah, so those are my pick. Oh wait, I did talk about my favorite scene. So my favorite scene in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, has to be the ending when they drive away. And the mother thinks they have control of the car, but really they don't. They're just kind of driving away, and you know, and you can see the kids inside, they're panicking and everything, and the mother, she's kind of waving at them, and then she gets sucked in by Freddy. That was a little chilling to the bone. But yeah, but those are the movies that I'll be watching this Halloween or this October. For 31 days of October, but in general I watch them every October. Let me know down below, or let Lee know, fuck, never mind me, let Lee know, let him know down below what movies are you gonna be watching this October. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there, and you know, like The Exorcist, I do not own in my collection, but that's another one that I like to watch. The Insidious movies. Heck, I'll even watch A Quiet Place. I like those kind of, you know, type of movies. Another one that I'll be watching, or I've already watched, is Drag Me to Hell. So that was actually my first horror movie that I have seen, and that got me into this. Before I go, guys, I'd like to tell you, my type of dessert to eat in October is pumpkin pie. What is yours? Some people like pumpkin cookies. Have you heard of that? Maybe apple pie, rhubarb pie. I don't know, rhubarb pie. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, come on over to Theo's Movie Reviews, where there's, it's been a hectic September, TIFF reviews non-stop. So now it's been quieting down, not too down, but it's been a little quiet. So come on down, or go over to my channel, check it out. I do reviews, of course. I do Theo's Movie Collections. I also do songs, so if you're into that, check out Theo's Humble, In My Movie Feelings, Theo Boy, Captain America Civil War, which I collabed with Lee. So really, just look into that. There's a plan out there for me to do a Christmas 12 Days of Theo. So I like doing them. I have fun doing them, and you guys seem to enjoy them. So that's why they're happening. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
Next up, a really good friend of mine, CJ Horror, Craig. Craig's been a really good friend of mine. His channel used to be Spider Geek, but then he did a realignment, which we all do sometimes, changed his channel to CJ Horror. Because I think he wanted to focus more on horror than anything. And if you see like his tattoos, if you see his collection, you'll see why. The guy is, you know, he's the real deal. He's a fanatic of horror movies. And me and him both love John Carpenter. We're like big John Carpenter fans. We both even have signed John Carpenter memorabilia, which is really cool. And he's from across the pond, from the UK. So always a pleasure to have him on the channel. Oh, by the way, his editing is phenomenal too, by the way. He puts out really entertaining videos. So looking forward to seeing what he's got in store for us this week. Take it away, CJ Horror.
It's Halloween, baby. Do you have your pumpkins?
Happy Halloween, Halloween.
Anyway. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this very special 31 Days of October video. Big shout out to Lee. Thank you very much for having me back on his show. I was on it last year and I really enjoyed it, so it's good to be back. Anyway, let's talk movies. I've got some films that I want to share with you guys, and every year I kind of rack my brains for the movies that I want to talk about on this show, because I watch horror every day. For me, Halloween is an everyday thing. Like, I watch horrors like all the time. So I try and pick movies that I think not a lot of people have heard about, or not a lot of people would have maybe come across, or just films that I genuinely think you should see. So this year I've picked 4 movies to talk about. I've picked 1 foreign film, 1 classic film, and 2 newer films. Obviously one of the newer films is a film that you've all gonna have seen or all gonna wanna watch, and I figured if I didn't talk about it on this channel, then I'd probably get shot. So yeah, we are gonna talk about Halloween, but first, Dream Home. Dream Home's the first film I want to talk about. It's from 2010 and it is a Cantonese slasher film. And it's basically about this woman who has a major hard-on for this apartment. Like, this chick really wants to live in this apartment. She's had a kind of a rough childhood and she's always wanted her own place and her own apartment. So she's got her heart set on this place and she's been saving up, she's been working really hard. And then suddenly, out of the blue, someone comes underneath the rug and just sweeps it out from under her and buys the apartment. And she loses her shit. And it sounds like a very simple, like, kind of stupid premise, but the film really takes its time to build up how much this woman really wants to live in this apartment. And it really takes its time to kind of put you in the mindset of the character. And the film's kind of constructed around this timeline. It kind of jumps from the present to the past, way back to the past. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. And when you can see the whole film evolving, it's really fun to watch, and it's filmed amazingly. And some of the kill scenes in this film are some of the best I've ever seen. The most creative, fucking balls to the wall kill scenes that I think I've seen in a slasher for a long time. We're talking like some pregnant chick gets killed with a vacuum cleaner. It don't get more brutal than that. People get gutted, people get sliced up, and it's filmed really well. Like, the cinematography in it is actually quite creative. There's a lot of like kind of weird disorientated angles, and I really love this film. Like, I can't stress it enough. Anyone that asks me for a good slasher, I always recommend Dream Home. Next up is a movie that I think every horror fan should see. It's one of the pioneering horror classics of all time, and it is Carnival of Souls. And this is a 1962 classic directed by first-time movie director Herc Harvey. And he basically was an industrial, educational, short filmmaker, but he wanted to make a feature film. And he had this wild idea while driving past this old creepy kind of carnival that was closed down, that, hey, that'd be a cool place to shoot a movie. So he basically just concocts this random story and makes one of the best horror films I think I've ever seen. Like, I'm telling you, this film set the standard for a lot of films to follow, like Night of the Living Dead. Anything kind of zombie, ghost story related definitely takes some kind of influence from Carnival of Souls. The film starts off very abruptly, like almost like you think you've missed a scene. Like, every time I put it on, I feel like I have to skip back to see if I've missed something. The movie literally just starts off in the middle of a drag racing, like a car race. And then one of the car veers off the bridge and crashes, and this woman survives a car crash. And then basically her whole world is just turned upside down. Like, she can't shake this creepy feeling. There's this random ghostly looking dude that pops up. She keeps phasing in and out of like some sort of ghostly era. And there's all the time through the movie, there's this weird, almost stalkerish organ music playing. Like, it's really kind of lulls you into this like false sense of security. And it's basically her slipping in between sort of the land of the living and the land of the dead. Like, it's very hard to explain exactly what is happening without spoiling the movie, but anyone that if I could recommend one film to watch, it would definitely be this one. Carnival of Souls is just one of them movies you have to watch. Like, please guys, check it out. It is fucking amazing. Next up is a movie that is like holy shitballs, like Mandy. Like, this is a new horror movie that has just landed, and I saw a trailer for it and I did a trailer reaction for it a few months back on my channel. And it is Nicolas Cage, which we all know is like fucking batshit crazy, but this movie was made for him. Like, I can't even define this movie into a genre. It's like Hellraiser meets Mad Max meets Evil Dead meets fucking everything you can imagine, meets lots of LSD. It's basically like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas versus Mad Max and Hellraiser. That's pretty much the most accurate description I can give of this movie. It's basically about Nicolas Cage and his girlfriend. They live in the middle of nowhere, and then suddenly something really bad happens and Nicolas Cage goes off the rails and gets revenge. That's pretty much the movie in a nutshell. But it sounds very simple, but you've got to take into account that this movie is a visual experience. Like, I'd class this more of an experience than a movie. It's like going to a rock concert on LSD while watching a movie at the same time. We've got like 5-foot chainsaws. We've got like, you know, Cenobites drinking LSD. We've got like really mad motorcycles. We've got a tiger roaring into an ecliptic sunset for no reason. It's just batshit crazy, but it is amazing. I think Lee reviewed it on his channel. I mean, you guys have probably like seen it or fucking watched it or something, but you should definitely check it out if you haven't, because it is awesome. Like, it's one of the best films I've seen in so long. It's just such a fun experience. Definitely check it out. Mandy. I might sit here and do this whole review in this mask. What do you think? Do you think I can do it? Fuck me, this thing is tight. Yes, we are talking about Halloween. I feel like if I didn't talk about Halloween, it'd be a sin, because it's the last movie that I actually watched. Like, I watched this movie literally last night, and it just... I can't even put it into context, like how much I really enjoyed this movie. Like, it's hard for me to get it across how much I enjoyed it, because I haven't actually constructed a review for this for my own channel yet. So you guys are getting an exclusive, because I still need to work on my own review. If I could think about one word to describe how I felt about the new film, it would be satisfied. That's exactly how I felt when I left the cinema. Like, I felt completely satisfied with this movie. Like, I was always a big fan of the original concept for Halloween. Like, Halloween's my favourite movie of all time, I'll just say that now. And I love John Carpenter's original idea for the franchise to have a series of, you know, movies like an anthology, all different Halloween themed movies. So the sequels and stuff, although I do like them, like I like part 2, 3 and some of the others, but I never really felt that it was necessary. I never felt that the story got a conclusion if it needed one. And personally, I think Halloween is a standalone movie. It didn't really need any sequel, to be honest. But now we have this one, so it's an option to watch it if you want to watch it. And I really, really enjoyed it. I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody, but I would definitely say if you're a fan of the franchise, go and see it. Because for me, it was an evolution, an extension of the first story. And it just became its own thing. Like, it didn't try and copy the first movie. It respected it. It respected the whole source material, like beyond the first movie. But it didn't try and copy it, I don't think, in any way. It was very much its own thing. Like, the score was different, the portrayal of the character was different, and we evolved. You know, Michael evolved as a killer, as a predator. Laurie evolved as a survivor, seeing all the traumatic experience that she went through. These are natural steps. And that's pretty much all I can say about Halloween at this point, because I'm still trying to process it. There's a lot about it that I want to kind of dissect, and I'm working on a couple of in-depth reviews on my own channel. So if you want to check them out, get over there and check it out. I'll leave a link, or I'm sure I'll leave a link. Lee will leave a link below. Thanks, Lee. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you got a little bit of insight out of them 4 movies I picked to talk about. I like to talk about different horror movies that not a lot of people might have heard about. And yeah, thanks for watching this episode of 31 Days of October. Big shout out to Lee. Lee's a good buddy of mine. I always enjoy his content, and his channel is fucking blowing up right now. So yeah, I'm really glad to be on here, because hopefully I'll get loads of views and subs and shit like that. No, I'm joking, but yeah, thank you for watching this video, guys. I will catch you around. Keep it horror, keep it real. Later.
And my last guest, Lizzie was on my channel last year for the first time, I think. And she's another one of those just straight up horror channels, Carnage Candy. And like Nightmare Maven, she is one of those that is not satisfied with just doing like mainstream horror reviews. She'll dig deep and she'll find those horror movies that you probably would not have heard of, as well as more mainstream type movies. But you know, she's just a really good friend of the community too. You know, I always see her, you know, in the chat rooms, talking it up, and she just loves discussing horror. So, pleasure to have her back on the channel. So, anyway, take it away, Lizzie.
Hey guys, my name is Lizzie from Carnage Candy with 2 eyes. I want to start this out by first saying, of course, a big thank you to Lee for inviting me to be part of 31 Days of Horror. This is my first year on it, and I hope that I can return for future episodes. But thank you again so much for inviting me. If you guys don't subscribe to my channel, I do reviews and reaction videos. Not always necessarily for horror. I am also a fan of Marvel, so I do occasionally react to Marvel and other nerdy-esque stuff. But yeah, that's just what my channel is. So I'm gonna do a little bit of self-promo in this video, that if you guys want long reviews of the movies that I did watch this week, I did do them for my own 31 Days of Horror over on my channel. So if you want to see longer reviews, you can check them out on my channel. But yeah, so for what I watched this week, Monday I watched 31 Days of Night. If you have not seen that movie, it is a vampire-esque film, which I am a huge fan of the vampire genre, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was a fantastic film. I thought Josh Hartnett did an amazing job in it. I think he gets a lot of flack, but I really liked him in it. For Tuesday, I was seeming to be behind everybody, and I watched Mother for the first time. All of these are first time watches. And another movie I really enjoyed. I definitely got the hype behind it. Such an intense movie. If this is something you've been putting off watching because you're not sure about all the hype, I do still highly suggest it. Really enjoyed it. For Wednesday, I watched Unsane, another one I feel like I was super behind on. This one, while I did enjoy it, little disappointed. I don't feel like it matched up to the trailer. I feel like the trailer gave it a different sense of what the film was going to be about. But I still thought it was a great film, still really liked it. Another one that if you're putting it off because of the hype, still highly suggest that you watch that one. I really liked, I think, every movie I watched this week, to be honest. Speaking of the next one, probably my favorite on the list, which was Terrifier, another hyped up one, and I am a big old slasher fan. If you can't tell from my background and the Ghostface stuff. I love slasher films, Scream specifically, and this movie lived up to my good old love of slasher. I think it is a amazing slasher film. So if you are a fellow slasher fan and you have not seen this one, go watch it. It's really great. And for Friday's film, I watched It Comes at Night. Another hyped up film. I think every film I watched this week is super hyped, and I don't think any of them really let me down. It Comes at Night, an interesting take on a virus apocalyptic film. It's not even like post-apocalyptic. They're like in the apocalypse type situation going on, and it is about these two families that basically have to come together and kind of deal with being survivors of what is currently eliminating humankind and dealing with that together. And it's really interesting. There's really no good or bad guys necessarily in this film, which I think is a very different way to do that type of film and something that I really surprisingly enjoyed. So again, if you have not seen this one, if you're putting off for whatever reason, I still highly suggest it. Not that terrifying, but definitely gets with your mind and your heart. And so then for the last one on the list, I didn't wind up, today is obviously Sunday when I'm filming this, didn't watch anything today as of yet, so I'm just gonna go ahead and end it on a Saturday movie, which was The Village. This is probably the only one on this list that wasn't hyped up in a good way. A lot of negative feelings on this one, which personally I did not understand. I actually really like this film. I get it. M. Night Shyamalan is known for his million twists, and a lot of people don't like that, but I still thought it worked for the film, and I honestly ended up really enjoying it. So like I said, if you guys want to see longer reviews of these, more of my opinions about them, you can check those out over my channel. And thank you again so much, Lee. You're amazing. One of the best. Hope you guys enjoy everybody else on the list. Bye.
Okay, guys. Thank you, first off, to all my guests. Be sure to go down in the info box, subscribe to all their channels. You will not be disappointed, I promise. Now, like I said, my channel was so freaking busy this last week with Halloween. You know, I did the Halloween daily vlog, and then the new movie came out, and then I did a review on Thursday night when it came out. Took off the next day from work just to recoup. Then did a spoiler review yesterday as the recording of this video. And you know, I was just exhausted, so I didn't get a chance to watch as much horror as I wanted to. So I figured what I would do is make some recommendations to you guys, just a few recommendations. But first off, my thoughts on Halloween. You can check out my review, both reviews actually. I did a full-on spoiler and a regular review, but in a nutshell, I freaking loved it. It topped my list for the year. It was amazing to me, which shocked me. I thought this was going to be just, you know, I thought it would probably be in my like top 5 Halloween movies, but I did not expect it to be like my top movie of the year. I thought what David Gordon Green did with this movie was nothing short of amazing. The bathroom scene in alone was like one of my favorite kill scenes, just because of how visceral it was, how emotional it was. You know, I really felt for those victims. So what he did with Myers in this movie, what James Jude Courtney brought to the character of Myers, is amazing. Like, he is probably one of the best Myers now. So loved it. But I'm going to recommend 3 movies to you. One of them is one that I just discovered like last year, I think. The Loved Ones. It's an Australian movie. And the reason I'm recommending that one is because of the character of Lola. I think Lola is like a horror icon in my book. She was just such an infectious character. And, you know, she just wants to get a prom date. But don't you dare say no to her. And she ends up kidnapping this kid who says no. And then her and her dad completely torture the kid. And this is just one of those movies that is carnage candy. Hey, I had carnage candy on my show this week, but it just doesn't hold back, you know? And she is, you know, I guess what Ash brings to Evil Dead, she brings to The Loved Ones. She's amazing. So I can't recommend this movie enough. Next up, an old classic, Fright Night. I am definitely planning on watching this one, hopefully this week. Fright Night is one of those that I do like to watch every year. It's just a classic 80s vampire movie. Probably my favorite vampire movie, if I'm being honest. You know, just the next door neighbor who you think is a vampire. And so then our main character is just, you know, Charlie. He's so likable, you know, so relatable. And he's got a girlfriend. And so when the vampire across the street tries to steal his girlfriend, then it's just, you know, a really interesting story. Really fun story is what it is. But it also has some great horror in it, great practical effects. I mean, this movie is just, it's the bee's knees. It does everything. It's one of those 80s staples that I have to watch every year, like Poltergeist. And then last recommendation, I wanted to recommend something that's more like art house, and it's The Witch. And I know some of you have probably seen The Witch, but I think The Witch is, I think it's really underrated actually, because it's chilling. It's really chilling. And you know, it touches on a lot of themes that have to do with like religion and how crazy religious fanatics can get. And so far that they actually accuse their own daughter of being a witch. And I don't want to give anything away, but the third act gets really crazy. And then you got what some people would call a horror icon in Black Phillip. But that last scene is one of the most memorable last scenes in a horror movie. You know, it's haunting, really haunting, and it just sticks with you. So anyway, guys, that's it. Again, thank you so much to all my guests. Be sure to sub their channels. Next week, we're going to do the last episode. It's either going to be on the day before Halloween or Halloween. I haven't decided yet. I believe Halloween's on a Wednesday. So look for that episode on Tuesday or Wednesday. Because on Halloween Day, too, I'm also releasing 31 on 31 with Cody Leach, CP from Will Electric Reviews, Brian Lomax, and Lindsay from Mother Mayhem. We're all releasing separate videos. We're going to rank the top 31 movies. Or we're going to rank all 31 movies from the big three, Michael, Freddy, and Jason. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's going to include the new Halloween movie. So anyway, guys, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free For All Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and now Stardust. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.